Now it's time for the Voice for the Industry podcast.
Well, hey, everybody. I'm really excited to introduce today's podcast and podcast guest, Jim Fredericks with the Alliance and PMA. Jim and I got to know each other pretty well. We're traveling to a few different industry functions. We ended up on the same plane and the same gate, and it was just riding back and forth to the airport. So not only does an amazing job for MPA, he's a great guy, great sense of humor. But I was really excited to learn some of the stuff that the Alliance does and then what the MPMA and the Alliance together are doing to push this industry forward, generating interest and excitement among consumers, supporting and really helping pest control companies really move forward as well. So really excited about this one. You're going to love it. Thank you. Well, hello, everybody. I am super, super excited to be here today with Jim Fredericks. Jim and I have actually had some recent travels where we ended up on the same airport, the same airplane a few times, and it took both of us to get to the gate, but we made it, and it was a good time.
That's right. There was a good 6-week period, I think, that you and I shared every single flight.
It seemed like it. Yes, it was very, very interesting,
did.
and they all took off and landed just fine, which is the most important.
Which is good.
All right. Well, everybody, I want to introduce my friend Jim. Jim is the Senior Vice President of Public Affairs for the National Pest Management Association and the Executive Director for the Professional Pest Management Alliance. That sounds like two jobs. Whose mission is to promote, protect, and defend the professional pest control industry. Jim has been with the MPMA since 2010. Prior to that, he spent nearly a dozen years as technical director with a large regional pest control firm serving the mid-Atlantic states.
You know who it was? It was Home Paramount Pest Control.
Okay.
Headquartered in just north of Bel Air, Maryland, in Forest Hill, Maryland.
Nice.
And I worked right out of graduate school. I went to work for Home Paramount, and I did just about every job I could. I learned a ton about the industry, and I had a great time there. And then in 2010, I came to NPMA.
Wow, that's 16 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And so you, like you said, you're the Senior Vice President of Public Affairs for the National Pest Management Association, but you're also, and maybe more importantly, Executive Director of Professional Pest Management Alliance, which we will call the Alliance.
The Alliance.
Henceforth, yes. Which makes me think of the Tom Cruise movie, The Firm, right? Everything's fine, just don't ask too many questions. Anyway, all right. So first thing we want to talk about today is, what is the Alliance? What are you guys doing out there? What's the goal? How are you helping pest control companies and customers? Just give us kind of a rundown.
Yeah, I would love to do that, and thanks so much for including me, Raymond. It's a lot of fun. You and I always have a lot of fun when we get together, and this is a really cool opportunity. So I appreciate you including me.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
So the Alliance, it's funny. It sounds like I have two jobs, but if that's true, it's the two best jobs in the industry, right?
Nice.
It is a blast working with our member companies every single day and having the opportunity to kind of represent the industry to the media, right, and to the public, to consumers, and that's really what the Alliance does. And so when we're talking about the Alliance, we're talking about the Professional Pest Management Alliance, right? Previously for years and years, we called that PPMA, right? We went through a rebranding last year, and we made the strategic decision to stop referring to ourselves as PPMA because there was confusion. There was confusion about, is that the same as NPMA? It sounds awful similar. Is that the same as the Pennsylvania Pest Management Association, which is also PPMA? It turns out the Pakistan Pest Management Association is PPMA. So we said, you know what we are? We're the Alliance, right? It's right there in our name. And the Alliance is kind of, it's great to say, join the Alliance because we're all working together to grow the industry. So the Alliance was started about 30 years ago. As kind of an offshoot of NPMA. We're still closely aligned with NPMA, hence my dual role. It was industry leaders who were really interested in making sure that consumers heard our story, the pest control industry story, as told by the pest control industry and not by other folks. right? And so our investors are made up of pest control companies as well as members of the supplier community, like Voice for Pest.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, thank you
You're welcome.
for getting involved as an investor. And ideally, what we're trying to do is just speak with a unified voice for the entire industry. We're trying to grow demand for professional pest control services. And we do that through innovative marketing programs designed to really educate consumers and earn their trust so that pest control companies can grow stronger. Um, some people describe it as like the Got Milk campaign for pest control.
Right.
I think that's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah.
But I really like to think of it as a pizza because I like to eat. And so, if we can imagine the universe of potential pest control customers as a pizza, right?
Okay.
And there's some people that are,
Pepperoni? Pepperoni?
oh, absolutely pepperoni,
Okay.
maybe anchovy, honestly.
I like a little anchovy, not all over it. It's a little bit here and there. Yeah.
So if you could imagine the potential pest control buyers as a pizza, there are some consumers out there that are, never going to buy pest control, right? For one reason or another, they're not going to buy pest control. But the universe of potential users is a pizza. Every pest control company is competing for their slice, right? They want their slice to get a little bigger. They want their competitor's slice to get a little bit smaller. But what the Alliance is trying to do is make the whole pizza pie bigger, right? Because we're trying to grow the universe of potential customers. And we actually 20 years ago we started with Harris polling every quarter, and we have consistently asked this question when doing this poll: have you used pest control in the last 3 months? Have you used pest control in the last year? And 20 years ago, that number was hovering around 18, 19% said yes, they've used pest control. Today, that number is up around 40%.
Wow.
So we like to think that the alliance and the investments from our alliance members are helping to grow the industry. And so we always talk about growing the industry. That's
Right.
what we do.
Yeah, and that I think that's really important. Anything you can relate to pizza is a win, right? So, but because there's so many other avenues of information about the pest control industry coming into consumers, right? There's all this new legislation. You see the news reports. You see the video of the rats running through a fast food restaurant in New York, and there are just so many other ways that people hear about it. So I think it's fantastic that we have this dedicated group of people that are, of the industry, in the industry, and doing really good things to present a positive image, and to make sure people understand the value of professional pest control. I think that's
Yeah, there's
fantastic.
so much misinformation, there's so much
Yeah.
bad information, and we can't kind of be the police of that and kind of try to correct everything, but we can at least push out good information, educational information, because the value proposition for pest control is so good. We're protecting public health, food, and property. So we're protecting the people you love, the food that you eat, and the places that you live. That's what our industry does. So it's a great story to tell.
And how do you educate? How are you getting that word out? What are some of the things you guys are doing at the Alliance to kind of get all those great stories out there?
The thing that we've really hung our hat on has been the foundation, kind of our bread and butter, is media relations. So kind of traditional public relations efforts, reaching out with stories, kind of creating our story and earning media. Last year, so 2025, we garnered more than 1,700 earned media hits,
Wow.
which is huge, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
this is both national and local news coverage. Me personally, I've been blessed with some really cool opportunities. I've been on the Today Show, Good Morning America, the Weather Channel. So it's just a great way to get that message out. So we have a great team that we work with
But
that
you
work.
you weren't there like in the hurricane, right? You weren't the guy in the yellow suit, the hurricane wind whipping around you on the Weather Channel. You were
No, you know what?
okay.
It turns out that the hurricanes and tornadoes, all those like
uh,
catastrophes, always bump the pest stories. But we're often able to tell a really cool pest control
yeah.
related story when it comes to the weather, because weather
Right.
patterns and insect populations are so closely linked. And so we can talk about, we talked about the East Coast this year had a ton of snow. And so, conventional wisdom might tell you that a ton of snow is going to kind of wipe out all the insect pests. But in fact, that snow is almost like a blanket that
Right.
insulates the soil. And so the fact that we're having, temperatures warming now, if we have a kind of an earlier spring, insect populations won't be impacted at all. In fact, they might even be a little bit
Right.
higher.
They might increase.
Right.
Yeah.
But when we talk to the media about that, when we talk to consumers about that, it kind of plants the seed that there's some things that they need to do to protect themselves. And one of them is calling a pro.
Right. No,
Um,
absolutely.
we do some other things though too. It's not just about media relations. There's also digital campaigns. Ultimately, we're trying to drive consumers to our websites. So pestworld.org and pestworldforkids.org are both Alliance websites. When you get there, it says NPMA all over it, and that's because to consumers we are NPMA. So we're
Right.
speaking on behalf of the industry and NPMA. But when consumers if we can get them to go to pestworld.org, then they are going to learn about all the dangers of pest control and how complicated pest control actually is and how well trained the industry is. Then they can go to our zip code locator, punch in their zip code, and then find a pest control company near them. Not everybody goes to the zip code locator, but it is important if when a consumer punches their zip code in, every pest control company that is an NPMA member will show up on that list. But we only know the zip codes that you tell us about, right?
Ah, okay.
NPMA doesn't know every pest control company's service area, so you need to make sure you go in, update your the zip codes that you service, and it's easy. It's just clicking a couple buttons. You can upload entire counties and states and cities at a time. So really important, must
Okay.
do thing is make sure you're updating that zip code locator. You do that through your NPMA profile at npmapestworld.org. But we also
Okay.
do lots of social media, so fun stuff on social media. If you're not already, follow us on Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok. We have more than 200,000 followers on TikTok. It's
Wow.
amazing. People want to watch pest control
Wow.
videos,
They're
but
going to make a cheeseburger after you at McDonald's. I mean, you're getting up
there you
there.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all at Pest World. If you want to find us on Instagram, it's at Pest World Official. But we also do public service announcements. If you've ever seen an NPMA or a pestworld.org commercial on TV or heard it on radio or seen it on a streaming service, that's the Alliance. And radio and TV broadcast needs to fill some airspace with public service announcements, and we tell our public health message there. And last year, we had close to like $18 million worth of free advertising
Wow.
as part of our public service announcement. So really cool stuff.
Wow.
Other ways we kind of try to get creative. You might have seen Will They Eat It, which was a campaign we did where we took ordinary household items like cheeseburgers and headphones and a stack of $100 bills. We put them into a tank with 500,000 hungry termites and ask, will they eat it?
Oh, that's
Um,
fun. Yeah.
Rodents Revealed was one where we showed, we had some great videos showing, how a mouse can squeeze through a hole the size of a dime or through a gap the size, the width of a pencil. Last year we did Bed Bugs Exposed, where we really tried to illustrate how bed bugs can find the most intimate hiding places and how to inspect your home a little bit, but really thinking about hitchhiking bed bugs. So what do you do when you go out
Right.
into a
Right.
hotel or Aunt Susie's house? What are you kind of looking for? So lots of things we do.
Yeah, it
Bunch of
sounds like
different things.
a lot of things. That's very, and it sounds like stuff that's very interesting, and that the public would want to see, right? Like, would they eat it? I thought you were going to say that you took different bugs around to people and see if they'd eat it, but I like
Oh
the
yeah.
what are the termites going to eat too? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it might be fun, but honestly, I am not a lover of insects as food. Like,
Not
I
me
know
either.
there is a
No,
case to be made, but
no.
I just don't love eating bugs, despite the fact that I'm an entomologist. It's just not my thing.
And we got plenty of other things, people that, and not to get political, we have plenty of other things to eat, that taste a whole lot better. But anyway, so what do you got coming up for 2026? You got some new and exciting stuff coming?
Yeah, we do. So I mentioned that in actually 2025, we rebranded the Alliance or rebranded PPMA as the Alliance. And so you'll see that reflected in all of our materials. We have a fancy new logo here. If you anybody that's
Nice.
watching the
Nice.
video here, we have
Come on,
we've kind of
take it.
brought it kind of up to date. It had not none of that had been updated in 27 years.
Wow.
And so, we're really trying to make a push this year to encourage companies, pest control companies and suppliers, to join the alliance. And so that rebrand had a lot to do with that. This year, we're rolling out Ant Awareness Week.
Nice.
We do these awareness weeks throughout the year: Termite Awareness Week, Bed Bug Awareness Week, Rodent Awareness Week. But this year, for the first time, we are going to have Ant Awareness Week, and that's April 12th to the 18th. It coincides with National Pest Management Month, which is the whole month of April. But we're really going to be, focusing on ants. Ants are the number one nuisance pest around the country, and they're not even, and some are more than a nuisance, right? So
Right.
fire ants can cause, real health impacts. Carpenter ants can cause real property damage. Something else that's new this year is we are going to focus one of our large scale campaigns squarely on the do-it-yourself market. Can't give you a whole lot of info on what
Right.
that is. It's a little
We're not
bit
going
of
to
a
ask too many
surprise.
questions.
Yeah.
All right.
But we know that there are so much, you mentioned it earlier, misinformation and bad information about pest control out there. And you've seen some of these viral videos of people doing outrageous things to get rid of their pest problems. And so we are going to take a look at some of the home remedies that are often recommended, and then showing consumers that stuff is just not going to work. The only
Right.
way to get real long-lasting control is through a comprehensive pest control program with a professional.
That's fantastic. And you're right. There's all that crazy stuff out there, and then there's also a lot of people out there that call themselves pest control professionals that aren't really pest control professionals. They're just a person in a truck too. So there's a lot to be wary of, and it's exciting you guys are out there kind of combating all of that bad information. So we've just talked about a lot of the wonderful things the Alliance is doing, and it all sounds very fantastic. So, how are you guys funded? Where do you get your money from? Does MPMA pay for everything? How do you how can people help?
Yeah, it's a common misconception that your NPMA dues go towards the consumer awareness campaigns. They do not, right? So the Alliance is completely funded by voluntary investments above and beyond NPMA member dues. So you hear me, I keep referring it to investments and our investors. That's because this is not like a gift or a pledge or dues. The investments that are made by Alliance members are investments in the industry, but then also investments in your individual company, right? So because if we can continue to grow the industry, portray the industry in a positive light, that only helps members. From the very start, the alliance has been focused on a lot of our funding has come from our guardian investors, and so you might have heard this term, alliance guardians. Guardians give 0.1% of their annual revenues to the alliance. And so when you look at our annual report or you check out our webpage, you'll see a list of our guardian members. They're committed to giving 0.1% of their annual revenues. Now, if you're like me and you're not really a mathematician, you're like, what does that really mean? That means if it's a $2 million pest control company, that's a
Right,
$2,000 a year commitment, right?
right,
But not every company is in a position to become a guardian, right? We recognize that. The entry level to become an investor is $1,500 a year. That's $125 a month. And what that does is it gets you access to all of the Alliance marketing resources. So when we make a campaign like Will They Eat It or Rodents Revealed, we're taking video, images, we're making infographics, we're making press releases. We house all of that on our website, which is alliancemainframe.org. Mainframe is kind of the resource hub for our investors. You can go in there and search up bed bugs, and you're going to get images and videos, and like I said, infographics, press releases, how-to information on how to kind of work work campaign, social media campaigns. Our research is all housed there. I didn't even mention our research that we do, consumer research. We did an exercise last year, and we value, and this is conservative, we value the resources in Mainframe to be about $2.5 million worth of marketing resources that are available to our investors for as low as $125 a month. So we think that's a good investment. And
Right.
so if
Yeah.
somebody wants to get involved, wants to kind of learn more, they can just reach out to me. Right. I'm an open book. You can reach me. Many people can find me. Just go to the NPMA website. You can find my contact information, or email me at alliance@pestworld.org. Grab me at a meeting. I'm always out and about. If you see me sitting on an airplane next to Raymond,
That's probably where you'll be.
yeah, that's probably a good bet.
Yeah.
But we want to get as many, and I appreciate you bringing this up, because we want to get as many investors involved with the alliance as possible. We want everyone to join the alliance, because these investments are the fuel for the
Right.
engine that's growing the industry. And if we can continue to make that pizza pie grow, then every company grows along with
And
it.
$125 a month for a pest control company is not much of an investment in the grand scheme of things. It's really not. You buy lunch for a couple people, you're going to spend $125 these days. So, and it sounds like a great investment. And we'll go through at the end with all the websites and stuff. And then when we post this thing, we'll put that out there as well. So people, because we definitely want people to be able to find you, get to you, support. I mean, like I said, we recently became an investor. We're proud that we feel like, even though we're not a pest control company, we're part of the industry, and we definitely see the value that the alliance is bringing. And there's a lot of companies out there that aren't really involved in like national and associations and stuff like that can get a tremendous amount of benefit for a very reasonable investment. So I think it's fantastic. So
Raymond, you make a really good point about the partnership. You're not running a pest control company, but it benefits every company, whether it's distributor, supplier, vendor, pesticide manufacturer, a service provider like yourself. If pest control companies are growing, that helps everybody.
we can all eat pizza. We can all eat pizza.
We want a bigger
Yeah,
we want
yeah.
a bigger pie, right?
Yeah. There's plenty of pizza to go around, and it doesn't have to have pepperoni on it. It does not, but it should. But anyway, so what is since we always have to talk about AI in every conversation we have these days, is there any technological things you guys are looking at doing, maybe utilizing AI or doing things a little bit differently to kind of get the message out?
Yeah, it's interesting. We were very early adopters for AI. We've been using artificial intelligence in our research for probably a decade.
Wow,
Yeah,
nice.
and so what we have a program in which we do some kind of social listening, so social media listening, and so we look at organic conversations on social media, and then use artificial intelligence to kind of identify organic pest control related and pest related conversations that are happening. We can then, now with as the models have gotten better, we can actually ask questions of this. Initially we could say, like, spider conversations are spiking in Oklahoma right now, and we could kind of focus some resources there. But now we can ask questions, and we can actually, now that we have multiple years, probably close to 10 years of data, we can start to forecast when consumers start to talk about pests and pest control. So that's been something we've been doing for a long time. We use AI, to kind of fine tune our messaging for different audiences. We also have some pretty fun new social media campaigns this year that we'll be utilizing some AI video to tell some kind of real life pest stories. And so, it's fun. I mean, it's such a powerful tool, and it's growing so quickly.
Mhm.
We actually have some AI related resources on Mainframe. We did a couple of webinars. We have some how-to stuff It's changing so quickly that if we know that if our investors aren't kind of keyed in and paying attention now, they can really be left behind. This is
Right.
AI is going to revolutionize the stuff,
That's what
revolutionize.
everybody is saying. If you're not doing it now, you're going to be left behind. It's
Uh,
almost too late at this point. Yeah.
yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be stuck, advertising in the yellow pages when everybody else is using
Yeah.
AI for marketing and all kinds of other
Uh,
tools within their business.
That's pretty funny. No, I have to say, I'm very impressed. I've been around for a long time. I've been an MPMA member when I worked for a Pest Control company for decades, and I've learned a lot of really cool, valuable information about the Alliance. I did not realize the depth of the things you do, the dedication to the industry. And I'm not just saying that because you're on the podcast. I mean, I'm not going to say bad things about you because you're on the podcast, but no, it's really impressive. And I'm actually really even more proud and happy that we are investing because it sounds like you're doing some great things. So, is there anything else you want the 7 or 8 people that are going to watch this out there to know about the Alliance?
Yeah. You know, I guess that the thing, so I think that there has been a popular misconception for many years that the Alliance is kind of the for the big pest control companies. Our board of directors is made up of industry leaders, but we know that it takes every single company working together through the Alliance to have our message heard. And so if it's something that you thought maybe your company couldn't do, or didn't seem appropriate for your company to be involved in, that's incorrect, right?
Right.
Every company should be involved in the Alliance. So I would encourage companies to join the Alliance. And then as a first step, if you're not an NPMA member and you're not active in your local association, I would encourage companies to take that step. That's
Right.
the first step, right? Get involved in your local association, become a member of National, and then join the Alliance.
Right. Okay. We have the order now, but really though, for that, there's a pretty small investment. So, what's the website you want people to go to if they want information about the Alliance?
Yeah, the best place to go is alliancemainframe.org.
One
Uh,
word: alliancemainframe.org. Got
alliancemainframe.org.
it.
The other thing that you could do is you could go to the NPMA website, which is NPMA Pest World. NPMApestworld.org. And up at the top, there's a button that says the Alliance, right?
Okay.
Click on the Alliance. That'll take you
Boom.
to just a ton of information, how to join, what the different levels are, and then my contact information as well.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, your contact information is important. So, all right. Well, this has been great. I mean, I really learned a lot, and I'm actually, like I said, I'm impressed. You guys are doing a lot of great things at the Alliance. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring Bryn in, and we're going to go through a couple of fun questions we always like to close out with, just to lighten up the mood a little bit, even though this hasn't been a very heavy mood. Uh,
Hi,
so,
Bryn.
Hello.
Bryn's back. There she is. All right. So. I'm gonna ask the first one, and since I'm gonna give you time as a good host and give the guest time to think about an answer. So the first one is, if animals could talk, which animal would be the rudest animal if they could talk? And I thought about this a little bit. My first response was a seagull, because they're pretty nasty. They come flying out, they steal your food, they don't care. Um, and then but then I don't know. I was thinking, I don't know, I'm gonna stick with the seagull. They're really pretty mean. They just they steal your food. They don't care, they poop on you. They're just like whatever. So I can imagine they'd just be like sucker and fly off. So I'm going with the seagull. Red, what do you got?
Going off the mean, I would say geese.
Oh, good one.
Oh,
It's so
geez.
funny. We got 2 birds so
I
far. That's
know.
interesting. Yeah, geese can be pretty mean. Yeah, they can, and they're loud.
Yes.
Really loud. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
and
right, so
certainly
we got
can be aggressive as well, and they make a terrible mess.
yeah.
I'm gonna, when you said rude, the first thing I thought of was our old cat,
Oh,
right? And so not quite so mean,
but
but really was
rude.
just rude. Interrupt you all
Yeah,
hours of the night.
it's
Jumping on
true.
your head, trying to sleep in your space.
Inconsiderate. Cats can be inconsiderate. I have 4 of them.
Inconsiderate. Yes, the
Yes. Yeah.
world revolves around at least the cats that I have owned. Not every cat, perhaps. I don't want to,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want people to be angry at me if you're a cat lover.
Right. I'm a
We
cat
have owned
lover.
a number of cats, and they just, they're kind of inconsiderate. So I'd say that would be
That's
rude.
That's a good answer because I think you're right. But what would they say though? Because they're rude anyway. But that would be, it would be terrible if cats could talk because they'd be like, I'm hungry, get out of my way. Pretty
Yeah,
funny.
either that or, I mean, they just ignore you, right? So
Right.
you could be
True.
talking to it all day and it would just ignore you
That's
because
true.
cats could have their own agenda.
Absolutely. All right. Next question. And this one's a real thinker. Is a bowl of cereal soup? Think about that for a second. Is a bowl of cereal soup? Bryn, why don't you take that one first?
I want to say no, just because it depends on the type of person you are. If you let the milk like soften it up and like all that, then I would consider it soup. But if you don't, I wouldn't.
What kind of human being would do that? I mean, so you're saying if you let it soak in soft,
Yes.
almost like a bowl of soup,
Yes.
everything's cooked
Yeah.
together, then it's like soup or porridge or
Yeah.
gruel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jim, what do you think?
I would say no, it is not a soup. And partially because, I think of soup as soup is a singular meal, right? Whereas cereal, I think, can be eaten with or without the liquid. Soup, you can't eat soup without the liquid. It's just not a soup. But I know my kids used to always snack on cereal in the back seat. We used to have Cheerios in the car, down in the seat cushions for forever. So I think that, because soup is always a liquid and cereal, you have to add the liquid too. I would say cereal as a meal is not a soup.
Okay, so cereal's it could be an ingredient of soup, but it can't be soup itself.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. That's like, our SpaghettiOs soup.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know, perhaps. But those pastas can be eaten without the liquid.
True.
Right?
That's true, but they're not nearly as good. All right. Well, okay. All right. Good answer. Good answer. I think, see, he's a smart guy, Brent. Got that cerebral answer going on there.
These are my kind of questions.
There you go. We got one more. Okay. What sport would be the funniest to add a mandatory amount of alcohol to? So let's think about what sport would make it funnier if they had to be drunk, basically, to do the sport. I was thinking ping pong or something like that, where there's a massive amount of coordination needed. I would see a lot. I think that would be pretty funny to watch a couple drunk people try to play ping pong. Now, that's my answer.
Huh. I'm going to steer away from, things where you could really get hurt. I think, it wouldn't want, skateboarding.
You want somebody to get a ping pong ball in, yeah, or skateboarding, yeah, okay.
Boxing would probably be, it just sounds like a recipe for disaster. I like the ping pong, but the thing that came to me right away was tennis.
Oh, there you
right?
go. Yeah.
I think, tennis might be fun. I could imagine a couple of whiffs, which
Yeah.
are unusual in, tennis, but with a couple of drinks, perhaps you might see a little more of those.
Or a couple of places getting hit that you wouldn't normally see people get hit with the ball. Yeah, that's a good reality. Bryn, what do you think?
I want to say
Two racket sports, by the way.
I want to say curling.
Oh yeah, it's very precise.
And you're on ice.
And you're sliding around. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
You pulled a good one out of there.
Slippery nature of curling, I like that.
Yeah.
Although curling, it seems to me that curling, like shuffleboard or darts or cornhole or horseshoes or pool, I think there's you could have a slight edge, right? If you with one or two drinks,
if you're a little looser,
your performance.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because if you're a little bit less withheld. Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Well, this has been great. I mean, I really enjoyed the conversation. So much good information. It's obviously you've been on TV and you know how to present this information. It's a fantastic job. But really, really very impressed with what the Academy. I almost said the Academy. The Alliance is doing. And everybody out there, go to what's the website one more time?
AllianceMainframe.org or visit the Alliance page at npmapestworld.org.
And invest because, like Jim said, they have millions of dollars worth of advertising material for you to use for being an investor. So, all right. Well, that's it. Thank you, Jim. We're going to bid everybody a fond adieu. Bye-bye.
Adieu.
Thank you for joining us.
See you next time.